Hi everybody, it's Steve Halley here with the Family Peace Initiative, and welcome to the August edition of the Facilitators Tool Chest blog. Every month I try to put something out that just kind of helps us facilitators just get better at our craft and hopefully deliver a more effective, more powerful intervention for those who are using cruelty and violence in their relationships. Hopefully we can help victims and partners of these people to be safer, family members as well. Today I want to talk to you about Buck Brenneman and training horses, because I think that training horses has a lot to do with working with those who batter. I don't know if you're familiar with Buck Brenneman, and I want to tell you right up front, I am not a horse guy. I've got some traumatic memories of being kicked by a horse when I was in summer camp, and so I'm quite comfortable being on the other side of the fence from the horse. But Buck Brenneman is a world-class trainer of horses, and he goes around the world training, helping teach those horse riders to work with their own horses, to help develop this relationship between horse and rider to where it's almost as if the partnership, as if they're one person. And it's really interesting watching him work. And if you want to see an amazing movie, his documentary entitled Buck, I believe it's probably on Google, it's probably on some of the online streaming services, but it really illustrates the river of cruelty beautifully and how it plays out in his life. But it also has some information in it that helps us do a better job as facilitators and program providers. Because the first thing that people know if they work with horses is that if you have a horse that's never been ridden, and they're out wandering around in their 80-acre pasture, the first thing that we have to do is to shrink the space where work can be done, where that relationship can begin to be built. And so what people do, right, is they bring their horses commonly into what they call a round corral, which is just a smaller space. That fence is very much like the community coordinated response you've been hearing reference to this. I've been hearing about community coordinated response since I began this work in the 90s. It is a very important part of battering intervention. It's a very important part of making a difference in the world of domestic violence. How do we bring all of the systems together in order to be on the same page and create a fence so that when someone is pulled into the system because of battering behavior, because of dangerous behavior in their families, that we can contain these people inside of a fence and the work can begin. Now, nobody would think when they watch a Buck Brenneman movie about how to work with horses that just putting somebody in the round corral is going to help this horse to be able to be ridden, right? The corral serves a purpose, but it is not it's not going to help us to ride the horse. There's something that has to happen. There has to be someone who's highly skilled at working with horses to begin building that relationship inside the fence. Now, the fence is critical, and it's certainly part of the intervention, but by itself, standing alone, the round corral does very little, if anything, in order to help a horse build a relationship with a rider. And I think about this with the community coordinated response as well, that it is the fence. And the fence functions as the law enforcement doing their job, that when they see probable cause, they're mandated to make an arrest. Right? We're helping the legal system to respond to domestic violence in a way that everyone in this community coordinated response knows what the responses are going to be, and we're all working together to help get this person who's using cruelty relationships into a smaller space where somebody, a facilitator, a program, people are able to begin working with this person to intervene. Now, I want you to know that there are people who, when they get arrested for domestic violence, and I've heard them tell me this, they're saying, I spent one night in the county jail and I'm never going to get arrested again. That was a traumatic experience. That was a horrible experience. I never want it again. And so I'm not going to use behaviors that might get me arrested, that might take me back into that environment. Right? But it's very few. Very few people change their behavior because they get arrested. Very few people change their behavior because they had to pay their attorney or had to go to court and had to plead guilty or have a trial or agree to a diversion or whatever it is that the system does. But all of these pieces of the system are essential to be working together because together they make the fence. And so when these systems are pointing people who are using cruelty in relationships to the inside of the fence, the round corral, then we can do the work that we need to do inside that fence to hopefully intervene so that once the system opens the fence and lets this horse run, that they're not going to be using cruelty and violence and abuse in their relationships anymore. But the fence is key. And so I want you to think about, the holes in the fence, right? If we have a fence that isn't doing its job, if it's not containing the people, if it's not shrinking the space of those we're working with, then I can't do my job. You can't do your job. It is much harder for us to be effective in our work if we have court service officers who don't really worry about whether someone's showing up to program or not, or don't really worry about whether their probation period might be ending and they still haven't completed the program. They don't seem to be helping the fence stay secure. We need all of these groups and all these agencies and all these professionals working together to keep the fence together. And so I want you to know that, the fence may not be a primary change agent. It is a critical piece of the change process. And shoring up that fence by having strong relationships with the victim service agency, having relationships with the local law enforcement, with the court service officers, with the prosecuting attorneys and the judges, and on and on and on, matters when we're working to intervene with domestic violence. This is not something that a battery intervention program can do on an island alone without relationships and working connections with those people in the community. So to sum this up, I'm encouraging you to reach out, if you're not already doing this, to reach out to your victim service agency and get involved with your community coordinated response and try to build a system with your community that will help secure the fence so that those who are battering can be kept in a smaller space where the work can be done. I would encourage you to build relationship with law enforcement and with the prosecuting attorney and the court service officers and your referral sources. I would encourage you to recognize that a hole in your fence is a problem. A hole in your fence can literally put victims and family members and partners in danger. And so tending to the fence is a big deal. So give that some thought, evaluate your own fence and find out where are the holes, what's going on, how do we shore things up, and watch it have an impact on the effectiveness of your own program moving forward. Thank you guys so much for all that you do, and I will look forward to making another one of these again next month. It'll be September. Hopefully this intense heat will be softening and we'll be making our way into fall. So, best to you all. Thank you.